In a sense, though, he and I have, I shall say, passed each other like ships in the night. Certainly, I think we were aware of each other's career paths, but we'd never been quite at the same space at the same time. Not until I returned in 2017 to host his old show, The Afternoon Drive on 702. And as a colleague, he was kind and he was welcoming. He basically wanted me to come into the fold, and he always had encouraging words to say. He was the kind of colleague who would replay an interview on breakfast that had been done on the afternoon drive, because he wasn't about ego. He didn't necessarily need to redo an interview to underscore a point. He was just pure class, I think, that way. Over the last few months, he and I would chat occasionally on the phone, especially when he spent some time in Israel in the last few months. And he would sometimes send texts of encouragement about something that had happened on 702 Breakfast. He even teased me about my little thing about Asikho Lapho. And it was really just to show that he was still listening, but I think it was more important for him to underpin the fact that he just wanted to send a word of encouragement. And so there I was in Johannesburg, my life as normal as it had ever been, but he was the one reaching out, encouraging, and saying, "You're doing okay, you'll be fine." The last time he and I sat together was in the hospital. We shot the breeze about radio, about life, about the importance of not taking things for granted. And as I sat there with him, he was asking questions about how I was gelling with the team. You'll of course appreciate that many of the behind the scenes members of 702 Breakfast were people who had worked with him, and he was concerned about each and every one of them and what working relationship we were establishing, what pitfalls, and offering advice. He was asking about my plans, my hopes, my goals, and in his understated way, even in the toughest moments of his life, he refused to be at the center of the conversation. To his last, his passion was for people, and of course, it was for his craft.
When a person chooses to be humble, when a person chooses to sacrifice and suffer, that person deserves to be praised. That person deserves our testimonies. We lost a lion. We lost a dedicated journalist who loved our country and our people dearly. We lost a key soldier on an eve of a war that will define our existence. What struck me more about XG was its absolute humility. There was no pretension, no sense of self-importance, yet was a great, outstanding radio personality.
I invited my God to say, "You've been through with me as I walk this journey, and I know that today you're going to give me strength to talk about the giant." A man who respected his industry, a man who understood that communications, it's about touching our lives in the different areas that we're in. A man that understood that through telling our own stories, we're able to heal the broken, and we're able to educate, entertain, and inform at the same time. A man who had no boundaries, but in everything that he did, as many have defined him, with respect and the passion that he had. Xolani was just not a radio announcer. For him, it was his passion and his life. A young boy who hailed from the dusty areas of Mbendle, rose to fame, but did not let fame define him. He has made a pact with his God that his is to tell the stories of our nation the way they are, without them being filtered. His was to make sure that as he interrogates you, he does that with passion, respecting and emphasizing the importance of media freedom, but most importantly, recognizing ourselves as humans that must learn from the mistakes that we commit every day.
I shared with JJ the other day on his show on Newsroom Africa the ability that you had to listen, the ability that you had to consult. Not too many people with the kind of authority that you have listen to anybody. They listen to themselves because abatshelwa. They know it all. And being a part of your two very big decisions that you had to make career-wise show the sign of a person who was willing to listen, who was willing to be guided, who was willing to be better, because your dream was part of those big decisions.
At SABC News, Xolani was respected and admired for his enduring commitment to journalism. While he excelled at what he did, he remained humble and wanted to be treated like everyone else. He was a remarkable journalist, an avid reader who had a voracious appetite for new information and an inquiring mind to discover underlying meanings in all the stories that he covered. He always had the interest of his audiences at heart. After each show, he would regularly spend time going through emails and was able to develop content from some of the inputs from his audiences.
This is not just another news story. This is not just another terrible loss of somebody we once listened to on a radio station or a TV station. He will not be easily forgotten. Know this, the name Xolani Gwala means something. The name Xolani Gwala will forevermore be synonymous with journalism of value and depth, journalism of meaning and interrogation, journalism that holds power to account. The name Xolani Gwala will be spoken of in awe and written about as somebody synonymous with credibility, integrity, honesty, warmth, and empathy. Somebody with a deep sense of love for his craft and an enduring respect for our professions.
And so today, as we're here to honor, to celebrate, and to say farewell to this incredible human being, who so many of us are actually better people from having known him, we reflect on the gentle and the compassionate nature of Xolani Gwala. And he was a giant, an absolute giant. He gave that ear, he extended respect, without question, without doubt. And it's astonishing to reflect on how quickly he became a friend, how quickly he cared, guided, mentored, and became counsel. He got to know you, and with time you reflected on how he shaped and influenced your career. Whether you were a CEO, a security guard, or a junior, Xolani found common ground with you.